get up, stand up, and go. Those are words from my grandmother, Millie. She also said, you're strong, you're beautiful, you're smart, you're important, and you can do anything you want to do. And besides that, you're not related to these people. So, to clarify, these people included her son, who had adopted me. I was a child, you see, from his first marriage. And my brother and I were now in an unloving family from his second. Our stepmother could never accept us as her own. But what Millie really meant was, you don't have to be like them. You are free to be you. See, my grandmother, she was my first role model. She was my most important role model. She told me that life was not about fitting in. It's about standing up for who you are. So when I was 17, I left. I left home. I left the yelling. I left the singling out. I left the blame. I left the hair pulling. I left those words. These are Jim's children from his first marriage. They're adopted. Again, my stepmother she never approved of us. We weren't hers. But I had my grandmother, Millie. She lived right next door. She was awesome. And she was the love. I didn't realize it at the time, how important her love was, but I had it. So they say rejection builds resilience. I guess that was good for me, because I have built a multi-million-dollar company. Thank you. During this time, I found myself, I was part of renting an office in a local broker-dealer office. And as time went on, I started to realize there was a man there, we're going to call him Pat. Pat was an absentee leader. He would come in the morning, he would leave shortly thereafter. He wouldn't come back until the late afternoon. I heard later he was at a cigar bar. But he had recruited young people, young advisors. They were there, they had questions, they needed guidance. There were trainings, the trainings were canceled. So they would show up at my door and I would help them, my group would help them. We try to answer their questions and mentor them. And that was fine, till it wasn't. At one point, Pat asked me to participate in an event, a CPA event. We were going to invite tax professionals. We were going to have them come to the event. We were going to be able to give them CEs and continuing education credits. And so I participated. I got 7 CPAs to sign up. I said, yeah, good. Well, 2 days before the event, guess what? The event gets canceled. No notice, no explanation. I actually had a CPA that drove to the country club for the event. I don't know if she got the message. And she called me, she said, Kath, they acted like they didn't even know about the event. So here I was. I felt now my reputation is being tarnished. So I kept going, I kept moving, and next thing, Pat comes to me and says, you know, I need to have a meeting with you. Can you come to my office? I said, sure. Came to his office. There is the compliance officer. I said, oh my God, what did I do? He said, no, it's not like that. Lately, Kath, you've been very negative. It's impacting the others here, the other professionals in our space. And I said, oh my goodness, I'm not known as being a negative person, I'm saying to myself. I said, but maybe it's because my husband had a heart attack a couple months ago. Or maybe it's because one of my best friends is in the hospital. She has aggressive leukemia. But maybe it's also because I'm watching this leader who's failing. He's not taking care of his people. So next I looked over and I said, you know, I'm wondering what that file is on your desk. It has my name on it. What is it? Pat said, oh, this, you know, I asked around to the different departments. I asked the employees here if they would give statements about you. My heart sank again. I said, who are these? I love these people. I go on these conferences for the broker-dealer and I bring them back gifts, every one of them. I always get them something for the holidays and Christmas. I don't know, I'm just heartbroken. I left his office, I was in complete tears. Going back to my office, I just tried to gather my thoughts. I thought about my grandmother. I thought about, I need to stand up for myself. I said to my dear Lisa Nelson, my practice manager, I said, I need to call HR, I need to talk to them. I said, you know, so I call HR, the broker-dealer, and the lady says, first of all, I have to tell you, we don't represent you. I said, you know, I'm independent, I'm not yours. But I'm here in your office, and I've been told here in Hunt Valley, Maryland, I have a negative attitude. And guess what? I'm okay with that because I can improve. I can be in charge of my attitude. But you guys, you have to be responsible for him. And I went on and I told my story, and that was it. A couple weeks went by. I'm still going. I'm still doing my thing. And I ran into Pat. Nothing happened. I ran into him in the hallway and I said, Pat, let's get together. Let's put the past in the past. Let's just decide, you know, we're going to move forward and be positive. He said, okay, yeah, that sounds good. 2 days later, I go into his office. This time, there's a speakerphone in the middle of his desk. HR is on the speakerphone. She's the witness. He hands me an envelope with a letter in it. The letter said, my contract's being canceled as of April 1st. It's the 20th of March. I gathered myself. I said, I hear the words of Millie. I stood up and I stood tall. I got in Pat's face and I said, Pat, I don't know who you think I am, but you have no idea who I am. You think I'm leaving here in 11 days, and I'm going to tell my group that they may not have a paycheck, and I'm going to tell my husband that he doesn't have health insurance in 11 days. No, you don't know me at all. And I left. I left that office. This time, I had a plan. Again, I heard those words. I went back to my office. I called a friend of mine. She's a VP. I said, Rebecca, what is going on at this broker-dealer? I don't know. I'm being told I have a negative attitude. I can change that, but why? What is going on? Well, Kathie, we just want you to be happy. Okay. I don't have to have my contract canceled in order to be happy. That's it. I've been with this company for 17 years. I've represented you well. I've always been a top performer. I've never had a complaint. I've taken care of young people. That was it. Within 3 months, Pat was gone. I went to a conference within that year. They called me up on the stage. They gave me their top honor. It's called the Blue Chip Advisor of the Year Award. That was an award being recognized for having the highest level of integrity and for having the highest service level for my client and being a top performer. But you know what? Within that year, I felt, back when I was in Pat's office, just like my stepmother used to make me feel. I didn't belong. I didn't have worth. I knew I had to do something. And this is when I broke free. I started my own company. I had to build it back up. I built it strong. My company has grown tenfold since that time. So I just want to say to everyone here, if you have a role model, who is your role model? Who is your Millie? What are her words or his words? Remember them. In the words of Maya Angelou, we can't always control the events that happen to us, but we can decide not to allow them to reduce us. So, stand up, stand strong, stand tall, and go.